Hello everyone! In an unexpected twist, it seems Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, the same duo that shared their grievances about the royal family in interviews, memoirs, and even a multi-million-dollar Netflix series, are now reportedly seeking to mend things with Prince William and Princess Catherine. This revelation has stunned royal watchers everywhere. After all the public criticism from the Sussexes, are they really ready to patch things up? The boldness of this move is remarkable. Remember, this is the same couple who made a high-profile exit from royal duties, boldly announcing their independence from the monarchy. They then went on to share personal details about the family for all to see. And now, with family tensions at an all-time high, they're offering a peace gesture. It's hard not to be a little skeptical. After all, can anyone really expect praise for trying to put out a fire they started? What's even more surprising is the story they're telling now. Meghan and Harry seem eager to reconcile, yet somehow it's William and Catherine who are being portrayed as the ones with a grudge. Certain media outlets like InStyle and Marie Claire appear set on casting the Sussexes as the wronged party, as though they're the victims of a royal freeze-out. But let's remember who lit the match here. This is the same Meghan Markle who, without holding back, accused members of the royal family of racism during the infamous Oprah interview. And Harry? He didn't hesitate to criticize his brother in his tell-all memoir, Spare. The Sussexes have built a platform on sharing their grievances, so it feels a bit surprising to see them step forward now, presenting themselves as the peacemakers. Are we really supposed to believe they've had a change of heart, or is this simply a well-planned PR move to smooth things over? Reports now suggest Meghan and Harry are keeping a watchful eye on Catherine's health and recovery, especially after her recent public appearance, where she looked radiant and upbeat. Sources say they're monitoring the situation from a distance. But let's be honest, this doesn't feel like concern, it feels calculated. It's more likely they're assessing how the royal family is doing without them, possibly hoping that a family member's vulnerability will open the door for reconciliation. Are they truly happy for Catherine, or is this just another carefully timed gesture? Is this show of support simply a bid to look good in the public eye? For a couple who have spent years painting themselves as outsiders to the royal family, it's intriguing how eager they now seem to be part of it again. We're told that their communication with the family is almost non-existent, leaving them to follow public news updates just like the rest of us. Yet here they are, seemingly hoping that Catherine's well-being might serve as the bridge to repair their broken bonds. But do William and Catherine even want a reunion? And why should they? The idea that Meghan and Harry could simply stroll back into royal life as if the last few years of conflict and betrayal never happened is hard to believe. Trust has been broken. The Sussexes didn't just voice grievances, they dropped a bomb on the royal family, accusing them of everything from emotional neglect to institutional racism. And now they're asking for a fresh start. The nerve. Some royal commentators, like Richard Fitzwilliams, have noted that the Sussexes' recent gestures, such as wishing Catherine well, seem more like damage control than a sincere attempt at reconciliation. It's as if they felt obligated to make a public statement to avoid even more backlash. But if this is merely a PR move, it's a pretty obvious one. Critics have been quick to point out that any genuine truce would require both sides to acknowledge their roles. Yet Meghan and Harry seem to be acting as if only the royal family is at fault. Let's not sugarcoat it, their public split from the royal family wasn't just a minor disagreement that can be smoothed over with a few apologies. They've accused the monarchy itself of being a hostile, toxic environment, even suggesting that senior royals were unsupportive and complicit in the media's treatment of Meghan. And now they're seeking reconciliation. Forgive us if we're a little puzzled. The timing here raises eyebrows too. Why now? What's changed? Could it be that the Sussexes, whose popularity has been steadily dropping, are beginning to feel the effects of fading relevance? Without the royal connection, without constant headlines about family drama, their brand seems to be losing its spark. It's easy to wonder if this supposed push for reconciliation is more about staying in the spotlight than a genuine desire for family unity. Meanwhile, back in the UK, the royal family goes on without them. Catherine, loved by the British public, carries out her duties with grace and composure, unfazed by the Sussexes' drama. William, focused on his role as the future king, seems more interested in fulfilling his responsibilities than revisiting old disputes. After all that's happened, it's hard to see how Meghan and Harry could fit back into this picture. And honestly, why should they? It's not just the royal family who may doubt their intentions, many in the public are cautious as well. How can anyone trust a couple that has built a career around criticizing the institution they once pledged loyalty to? Meghan and Harry's record speaks for itself. From explosive interviews to a Netflix series, they've shown they're willing to put anyone on the line if it suits their story. So any talk of reconciliation is naturally met with skepticism. And what about the royals themselves? Do William and Catherine really need to make peace with a couple who has so openly disrespected them? There's a strong case to be made that the Sussexes should be the ones making most of the apologies. What exactly has the royal family done to deserve the wave of sympathy directed toward Meghan and Harry? Yes, there may have been tensions, but none of it justifies the level of public betrayal we've seen from the Sussexes. The truth is, any real path to reconciliation will require Meghan and Harry to take ownership of their actions. They'll need to acknowledge the harm they've done to both their family and the monarchy. They'll have to stop playing the victims and take accountability for their choices, and even then, there's no guarantee the royals will be willing to forgive. As we look closer at this surprising push for reconciliation, it becomes even more clear that the Sussexes' motives are, at best, questionable. What's most striking here isn't just the timing, but the strategy behind it. After all, Harry and Meghan aren't exactly known for being subtle, especially when it comes to airing their grievances. For a couple who has spent the past few years accusing the royal family of everything from emotional neglect to outright racism, this sudden shift toward peacemaking feels, well, insincere. Reconciliation isn't something that happens overnight, nor does it usually stem from an attention-grabbing headline. Harry and Meghan's attempts to mend fences with William and Catherine feel like just another chapter in their ongoing drama. But it's hard to ignore how conveniently timed this olive branch is. Could it be that the Sussexes, once basking in the spotlight of their self-imposed separation, are now craving the same royal relevance they previously dismissed? It seems plausible, especially given how quickly their narrative has shifted. What's more, the Sussexes' approach to reconciliation doesn't exactly exude humility or sincere regret. Instead, it has the feel of a carefully planned PR move. With every public statement and calculated silence, they paint themselves as perpetual victims, sidestepping the impact their actions have had on their relationship with the royal family. How can anyone realistically expect William and Catherine to welcome them back with open arms? After everything that's been said and done, it's clear that the narrative is still being shaped in their favor by sympathetic media outlets. The Sussexes are portrayed as the ones making the first move, as the ones generously extending an olive branch. Anyone paying attention can see that this isn't about family harmony, it's about optics. It's about staying relevant in a world that seems to be moving on from their constant drama. At this point, it's hard to tell if Meghan and Harry even know what they truly want. Is it peace, or is it just a strategic pivot to regain public favor? Given their history, it wouldn't be surprising if the supposed truce is simply setting the stage for their next big revelation or media venture. The Sussexes have shown time and again that controversy is where they thrive. Meanwhile, William and Catherine carry on with their duties gracefully, unfazed by the noise from across the pond. While the Sussexes scramble to hold on to public interest, William and Catherine remain steady, respected for their calm and composed approach to royal life. In stark contrast, nearly every move from Harry and Meghan feels calculated and self-serving, leaving many to wonder if they're genuinely interested in reconciliation or if they're simply searching for another way to stay relevant. There's also a certain irony in Harry and Meghan now being the ones to extend an olive branch. After years of casting themselves as outsiders, shunned by what they called a cold, unfeeling monarchy, they now appear to be the ones seeking a way back in. This isn't just about family relationships, there's something bigger at play. For all their talk of independence, the Sussexes seem to be struggling to find their place outside of the royal spotlight. Their footing outside the royal fold seems shaky. While Meghan and Harry's media ventures initially generated excitement, they haven't quite delivered the lasting impact they likely hoped for. Without the royal connection, it seems they're finding it harder to stay in the spotlight. It's worth asking how much of the Sussexes' relevance actually depends on their ties to the very institution they walked away from. Without their titles, without the royal backstory, what exactly do they have to offer? Yes, they've stirred headlines with tell-all interviews and a Netflix series, but even that approach seems to be losing its edge. How many times can they revisit the same grievances before people lose interest? Now, with the idea of reconciliation being floated, it feels like they're searching for a way to re-enter the narrative they once worked so hard to escape. Meanwhile, William and Catherine don't need dramatic headlines or public conflicts to stay relevant. Their quiet dignity and steadfast dedication to their roles speak volumes, showing that relevance doesn't have to come from controversy, but from consistent and genuine service. While Harry and Meghan continue to play the victim, William and Catherine simply carry on, demonstrating what true leadership and responsibility look like. This highlights the real difference between these two couples. One pair seems constantly in search of validation and relevance, while the other remains steadfast in their commitment to duty and service. As this latest chapter unfolds, it's hard not to feel a sense of déjà vu. How many times have we seen the Sussexes take center stage with yet another dramatic twist in their ongoing saga? How often have they retracted their claims, only to turn around and launch new accusations? This cycle of grievances and reconciliations is becoming tiresome, and one can only imagine how William and Catherine must feel about it all. For a couple that supposedly wanted to escape the public eye, Harry and Meghan certainly seem to spend a lot of time in the spotlight. As the Sussexes continue to navigate their complicated relationship with the royal family, one thing is clear: the road to reconciliation, if it ever truly existed, is full of obstacles. Harry and Meghan have burned many bridges, and while they may hope to rebuild some, it will take more than a few carefully crafted statements to undo the damage they've caused. Honestly, at this point, many of us are just tired of the complaints, tired of the theatrics, and tired of the Sussexes acting like they've been dealt the most tragic hand in life. Living in a sprawling Montecito mansion with multi-million-dollar media deals doesn't seem all that unbearable. Yet here we are again, with the dynamic duo reportedly extending yet another olive branch to William and Catherine. It would almost be touching if it didn't feel like such an obvious attempt to regain the relevance they so recklessly squandered. Let's set the record straight: Harry and Meghan's journey from royal insiders to self-exiled celebrities hasn't exactly gone as planned, has it? In their minds, it must have seemed like a brilliant move, a break from the constraints of royal life, a chance to tell their story on their terms, and an opportunity to establish themselves as global influencers. The only issue? The world didn't respond with the enthusiasm they anticipated. Sure, their first few explosive interviews made headlines: Oprah, Netflix, Spotify, but here we are, not long after, and their star power is fading faster than a poorly scripted reality show. And now we have the latest twist in this farcical plot: a reconciliation attempt with William and Catherine. Oh, how touching and noble, yet it's hard to believe this is anything more than a calculated PR move from a couple that always seems to have one eye on the headlines. After all, why now? Why, after years of accusing the royal family of neglect, racism, and emotional cruelty, would they suddenly want to make peace? Could it be that their well of grievances is running dry? Or perhaps their post-royal ventures haven't been the smashing successes they imagined? It's hard not to roll your eyes at this point. The Sussexes have spent years playing the victim, blaming the monarchy for every slight imaginable, only to now offer peace. Please, this timing screams desperation, not sincerity. They've realized that their royal connection, which once gave them relevance, is slipping away. What better way to get back into the limelight than by reconciling with the family they've criticized? Now let's talk about William and Catherine. If there are two people who truly epitomize grace under pressure, it's them. While Harry and Meghan have been airing their dirty laundry to anyone who will listen, William and Catherine have maintained their poise. There are no dramatic outbursts, no tell-all interviews, and no public slandering of their family, just quiet, dignified leadership. It's no wonder the public adores them, especially Catherine. Catherine is a great example of what it means to be a royal today. She's graceful, smart, and charming without even trying. Whether she's at charity events or representing the royal family in other countries, she does it all with a genuine spirit that feels real and sincere. Unlike the Sussexes, who often seem to stage their public appearances while Meghan complains about her struggles, Catherine simply gets on with her duties. There are no complaints or drama, just a steady dedication to what she has promised to do. Because of this, she has earned the respect of not just the British public, but also people worldwide. And then there's William. He shows true leadership, unlike Harry. While Harry seems more focused on being a misunderstood victim, William has continually stepped up. He has shown maturity and responsibility that make Harry's actions look less impressive. There's a reason why people look at William and see the future of the monarchy, a future that looks bright, stable, and full of promise. And isn't it telling that even in the face of all this drama, William hasn't resorted to public mudslinging? He's taken the high road, proving once again that he has the kind of integrity that Harry seems to lack. So what does this so-called reconciliation really mean? Will we see Harry and Meghan returning to the royal fold? all smiles and apologies, unlikely the damage they've done to their relationships with William and Catherine. Not to mention the rest of the royal family runs deep trust. Once broken is not easily repaired, especially when you've spent the better part of the last few years publicly dragging your family's name through the mud. Sure, they might put on a show for the cameras, but behind the scenes, you can bet the tensions will remain. And honestly, can you blame William and Catherine for keeping their distance after everything that's been said? Who wouldn't be cautious about letting the Sussex back into the fold? What's truly remarkable is that throughout all of this, William and Catherine have remained steadfast. They've carried on with their duties, they've raised their children, and they've done so without resorting to the kind of petty public bickering that has become Harry and Meghan's trademark. It's no wonder they're so beloved. They represent the best of what the royal family has to offer: stability, dignity, and a commitment to commit. In contrast, Harry and Meghan's story has become one of squandered potential and public missteps. The truth is reconciliation or not, William. And Catherine will continue to thrive. They don't need Harry and Meghan to succeed. In fact, they've proven time and time again that they are more than capable of carrying the weight of the monarchy on their own. The Sussex, on the other hand, seem to be struggling to find their place in a world that no longer revolves around them. And while they may try to spin this latest chapter as one of redemption and family healing, it's hard to see it as anything other than another desperate attempt to stay in the public eye. So will this. So-called truce lead to a happy ending for the Sussex? Unlikely. Their credibility is shot, their relevance is fading, and their constant need for attention has left them isolated from the very family they claim to want peace with. And while William and Catherine continue to rise above the drama, Harry and Meghan remain stuck in a cycle of self-pity and public embarrassment. It's a sad story, really, one that could have played out so differently. If Harry and Meghan had taken a page from William and Catherine's book, instead of focusing on their grievances and playing the victim, they could have used their platform to make a positive difference. Instead of airing their dirty laundry for the world to see, they could have worked quietly behind the scenes to mend their relationships with the royal family. But alas, that's not their style. And now they're left with the consequences of their actions. And while they may still have their supporters, it's clear that the majority of the public has grown tired of their endless drama. William and Catherine, on the other hand, have only grown in stature and respect. They've proven that true leadership isn't about headlines or public feuds, it's about doing the right thing. And there you have it, Harry and Meghan once again trying to claw their way back into the royal spotlight with another predictable reconciliation plea. Honestly, who's buying it at this point? While the rest of us can clearly see through their desperate PR moves, William and Catherine continue to rise above, showing us what true royalty and grace look like. Maybe one day the Sussex will learn that playing the victim only gets you so far. If you agree, make sure to drop a comment below and hit that subscribe button for more royal reality checks. Trust me, the drama is far from over.